spread out in strategic locations
Mm-hmm.
to either flank them when they're trying to retreat or come in when they're trying to attack from a certain way where your army isn't. Something like that. And I actually really think it's a good idea to have Templar at home, too.
I always like to have at least 2 High Templar at the base that I know they're likely to attack. Like, say you're on, like, Belshir, and so you've got your 5th base, which is, like, their staging ground for where they're going to attack you. I like to have at least 2 High Templar, like, behind a cannon or 2 there. Or say they're going to the other base, which is the closest one, your 4th on Belshir. I like to have, at least 1 or 2 behind a couple cannons there, too. Like, whatever base they're most likely to attack is where I like to leave at least a couple.
Okay. Any other PvT?
Good at stopping drops too.
I want to talk about, like, because we said we talk about stuff like that's good to do for, like, the Terran perspective. So I'll just, like, talk about some builds that work really well against me, or, like, stuff that I see Bomber and Polt do that works really well in TvP. Like, if you're a predictable Terran, that's in my opinion, like, the worst way to play against Protoss. Because if a Protoss gets into their comfort zone where they can macro freely, they can do that Colossus into High Templar transition, or the opposite, like High Templar into Colossus, you're literally, like, in the zone and it doesn't phase you. But if you do weird stuff, like Polt has done a lot of, like, timings with a lot of bio when Protoss is playing really greedy, like before medevac timings. Like, sure, they've got a photon overcharge, but can you get in there? Can you snipe a few probes? Can you snipe the 1 or 2 sentries he's got? Can you snipe the mothership core? That, I feel, is good to have, like, incorporated into your play at least. Or, like, with Bomber, he'll do, like, Hellions. Like, I think Hellions are so underrated and underused against Protoss in general. Like, if you do a drop into the main and send some Hellions into the natural, unless the Protoss player reacts perfectly, like, they're going to take losses. And I feel like it's actually harder for the Protoss to defend that type of aggression than it is for the Terran player to do it.
I think a lot of Terran players aren't... They have to understand that you can't really single medevac drop anymore. It's kind of dead. It's been dead for a while, and then they do it, and they're like, oh, it doesn't work. Damn it, But you should do 2, 3, 4 medevac drops. Like, a Protoss player that doesn't have perfect vision, if you're medevac drop them, they're going to be like, okay, that's 3 medevacs, but I'm going to lose my 3rd. How much do I have to send? Should I send the Colossus? Should I leave the Colossus here? But what if he has Vikings there? And then all these decisions they have to make so quickly, and they're bound to make a mistake. You just have to force that mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to play, I think. You can't just sit back and think, like, well, he has Colossus, I'm going to get Vikings. Like, that's not going to do you anything.
All right. Anything to add, Cowman? What do you have trouble with PvT? I know you feel like it's a really good matchup for you now, but...
The things that I struggle against the most are probably I overcommittal and undercommittal to dealing with drops. Like multiple drops all over the place, controlling the map. If the Terran player has really good map control, snipes your observers every time. Just like good Terran plays, what I struggle against. So.
Okay. All right, so PvZ. And we all know, like, Mutalisks, but let's talk. let's try to talk about something else. Unless you have a proposed solution for Mutalisk.
Well, Kyle can start. He's got a new build. He's been doing really well in the matchup lately. So
is that 3-gate
Stargate? His build. Yes.
Yeah. So just Stargate openers. I love it because it allows you to get map control. Like initially, it allows you to get map control. Allows you to take potentially denies third force units. It does a good job.
I think we lost.
And it also.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
It also it prevents the Mutalisk switch. It forces the Zerg player to go down like a few tech options in between Queens and Swarm Host. Queen, Swarm Host, Hydralisk, and Corruptor. Muto? Yeah, no Infestors. So it's really hard to play against. It's the Naniwa style of old, or not old, but like a month and a half old. It's just really strong, especially once you get storms. Like with the Mothership Core and Heart of the Swarm, it's so complementary. The unit composition.
I agree, and I feel like if they underreact too, like some Zergs kind of underreact to it. They think that since you're building that type of immobile army, that you're not necessarily going to react. And I feel like you can grab like a handful of Void Rays and send them with your Mothership Core, which we used to see SOS do actually all the time. And you can just hit that charge button, snipe a hatchery, recall home, and you're ready to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if the Zerg does like a 13-minute max Hydra push? against that play?
You die.
Max Hydra
no.
pushes aren't that scary, just because you'll 100% have Storm. I think it's the Hydra push that's
The Hydra
really,
Queen
really
push.
early. Yeah.
So when you go that Stargate play, do you skip the Robo and just go straight for Storm?
Cow does.
Whenever I do it, I don't even get a Robo until like, I don't know, like 20 minutes in, to be honest. Like after I've already maxed, after I've done like my first initial timing attack, which is with Storm and like Thundered Zealots and Templar and Voiders, you know? So, other people do different things. I mean, Robos are great not just for their, like, Observer, but for the potential of getting War Prisms out and getting out across the map, and because with this build you have tons of extra minerals, so, War Prism plays very, like, Robo plays strong as well, this is just not my style.
For the record, too, for everybody that's like watching this and wants to get a better idea of the builds that we're talking about, after the show, I'll get like a replay or two from each of us that talk about a certain build we're using, and we could probably put that in a pack for you guys to download and watch. So,
Don't take my PVC builds. You don't want.
Yeah. You heard it from.
We don't have much time, so you guys just want to move on to PvP now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just talk quick, I guess, about like what kills us, I suppose. That way we can help the Zergs out. Mutalisks. Okay, I'm done.
Ultras, Mutalisks, Trojans, Hydralisks, Zergs, Infestors, Queens.
The thing that kills me the most, hatcheries proxied in my natural. Okay.
They do that. That does happen.
Gate expand, go down. Dang it! Why is this here?
I know, right? It's like,
Wrong side of the map.
One day I'm gonna just drop in a Nexus in a Zerg.
I
know, right?
I encourage any Zerg that sees me on ladder to actually do that to me, though. I'll enjoy taking your ladder points.
Alright.
Yeah, we can move on, though.
So PvP. I hear everyone say that it's a dice roll. How true is that?
100% true.
Farting proved otherwise.
No, we didn't.
Primal can explain his thoughts, and then I'll tell him why I disagree with him.
Alright.
All right, fine. There's probably safer openings, but the big openings now are Blink, Stargate, and Robo Expands, right? Or pressure builds, right?
You just labeled the 3 tech options for Protoss. Congratulations.
you didn't say Dark Templar, so...
I didn't say Dark Templar. I don't think Dark Templar is very good. I think Dark Templar gets beat by too many things. The only thing it really beats is Blink, right? Everything else you're going to
Phoenix. Phoenix opener will take significant damage from it.
I think a lot of Koreans are doing where they send the Phoenix in pretty early.
I don't know.
But if Stargate, you have such a big advantage against Robo Expand, right? Pressure has big advantage against like any sort of greedy play or any sort of sentry play, right?
Like Phoenix opener should probably die to a 3-gate pressure. Yeah. It's a greedy Phoenix.
It depends
I don't think so. I think Phoenix is very good at defense.
Yeah, and Phoenix are very good at defense. So lifts are...
Okay, Oracle maybe?
No, because like when you go Oracle, you're going pressure, right? Most people when they go Oracle, they're getting 2 gates, they're getting Stalkers, they have their Mothership Core, the Oracle's on the way, and they're like, they're chrono boosting their Warp Gate and their Oracle, and they're going,
I don't think we can really hit on every single variation of build we can do. It's actually $1.5 million PvP.
But there's such big advantages to be had. Stargate has an advantage over Robo. Blink has an advantage over Stargate. Like if I play someone and they're going Oracle, and I'm pressuring, when I'm doing Blink, my Blink's done before your Oracle gets in my base, and I know you're going Stargate, and I just put 2 Stalkers in my base while I'm killing you. And then I expand, and then I win. It's a very big advantage.
I think if you play safe Blink, you cannot punish somebody going Stargate. And I think if you playing safe Blink, you can't get an advantage over a Stargate player. I think it's a Stargate player that has an advantage.
You'll definitely get your expand earlier. How would you not?
Well, you can, but what I do is you always say is that these people do 2 gates and then they go Stargate because obviously they're trying to push out and kind of distract you while the Oracle gets in their base, and obviously that's... I play an Oracle style that's kind of more defensive and reactionary, where if I know you... So I'm building my Oracle, and I only have I go 1 gate Stargate, and then if I'm not 100% sure you're not dropping an expansion, I drop 2 more gates, and then if I identify it's Blink, I drop the Robo, and I start getting my defenses set until I Photon Overcharge until I can get my Immortals out, and then I hold that way.
I mean, I get it, but I guess a good player. I'm not saying again, but
no, I get that.
You're gonna get blinked before you have that immortal. Like you're gonna have to hold your Void Ray is probably the better option there.
Yeah.
If it's blink, I mean, you'll eventually need a Robo anyway, 100%. But you definitely want the Void Ray.
I don't like blink anymore. I just feel like if you can get that first Void Ray out in PvP against blink, I feel like yeah, they still kind of have like an option to like blink on you, but it's kind of weak. And like the second Void Ray pops out, and then like blink can no longer really do damage, and then you can transition into whatever you want. Be it take a natural, take Robo, you know.
Oh, it depends how much damage you took before the Void Ray comes out.
Well, also like a blink contain is gonna shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
like a blink
about.
contain, yeah.
That's what it turns into. If I'm not going to kill you, I force the Photon overcharge. I killed some units. You're making Void Rays. I'm expanding, and I have sentries.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get your Nexus when? Like, it's going to be so late, you're forced all in, and I have Photon Overcharge, Sentries, and I probably have it Immortal or something. I think it's...
I know, I feel like if you try to blink contain somebody that's going Stargate, like, if they go, like, Oracle, and then they go, like, 4 Void Rays, they can just march across the map and definitely kill your natural, like, almost no matter what. Or if they don't, they've at least done enough damage to, like...
Yeah, but at which point, I mean, by the time they get to that point, though... Yeah, by the time they get to that point, you just recall, and your Nexus is already finished, and it's already, like, halfway saturated, in my opinion, right? Like,
I think it's insanely hard to ever hold a... like, it's so hard to hold and expand with Blink Stalkers against Void Rays. Like, even if they are Blink, like, the amount that, like, how Void Rays and synergistic, like, Zealots and Sentries will work together on the offensive is very powerful in any Nexus. Like,
well, you know how you hold it.
Yeah, but you can just
go
force
charge
the
lots.
Zealots away from you.
You go charge lots, and then you go Archons, and then you, like, that kills the ground army, and then you just blink under.
The Zealots off of your stuff.
No, I mean, the big problem with it is they're going Void Rays, right? So they're going to have mostly Zealots, right? So if you have your own Zealots that are better because you have the advantage, and then you have Archons, then the Void Rays suck. And they're going to have to micro and make sure they're killing Stalkers, but then you're blink microing, and then by that time their ground army's dead and you won. You know what I mean?
I think it's hard. I think it's possible. It's hard. But, like, I'm just saying it's very strong to all-in against, like, with Void Rays against Blink. And I don't think you could get Archons.
I think Void Ray all-ins are pretty strong in general. I just think, like, if you react properly to the Void Ray all-in, I think you should theoretically hold it unless you make mistakes. I think Void Ray all-in is one of the best builds, like, against both Robo Expands and Blink, like you're saying. But I think it's definitely holdable.
But, I mean, we're talking about something different. Yeah, anyway. But,
Well, in the interest of keeping this somewhat on time,
exactly.
I think we'll reach out, and if you have questions, you can tweet them at Field717, or you can just throw them in the Twitch chat, and we will do our best to answer them. This was obviously our first episode. We picked this day because it was, close to WCS coming to an end, and it was a day that all of us could do it. This may not be the day going forward, but, I mean, follow the stream. Yeah, you can also tweet at XTStarcraft.
Or any of us. We can give out our Twitters, I suppose.
Yeah, by all means. Go ahead, guys.
Cal, you're directly under Fields. You just gave his.
Okay, I'll do it. At Calman SC.
All right, Pat.
I'm at @1Pat_H.
Primal.
at Primal Moon SC2.
Bright.
At SC2 Bright.
All right.
And we'll be getting better. So if you guys have any sort of advice or anything, any comments you want to make about the show, make sure you let us know, because we'd like to be receptive to your feedback.
We have a Reddit post out now. I mean, if you want to leave comments and suggestions on Reddit, if you want to tweet us suggestions, whatever, you can check out Extraterrestrials at extraterrestrials.us and also at Facebook at /extraterrestrials. Obviously, everybody on the show today was from XT. Our goal is to, in the future, maybe reach out to some other players and see if other people would like to come on the show for guest appearances. Again, this was the first show. We're not sure if this is going to be the set day and time. So just keep your eyes peeled. All things Protoss, as well as the StarCraft subreddit, and we will let you know when future shows happen.
Yeah, and our goal will be to keep them all right about 1 hour, as we find that's pretty good timing.
Next time we'll try to talk about the maps. It didn't get accomplished.
Oh,
I mean, there's plenty that needs to be talked about. So, I mean,
well, nobody says.